What is up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Once a Project Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Lara. Joining me is my co-host,
Jackie.
And with us, a very special guest today. Joining us is...
Rodrigo Ramirez right now. I have different names. I have a few different names. I don't like my name is the thing.
What do you
Well, I don't like any... I don't know.
What would you call yourself?
Right now, on my podcast, Rodrigo Ramirez because it's in Spanish. But back in the showman days, though, it was Radio Romita. Used to be Radio Rock and Rolla.
I like Rod.
Yeah.
Rod is
See, look, I mean, everyone's like, why do you go by Rod now? I'm like, I've always been Rod. Like, even at my house growing up, Rod. No sé si miraban, if you watched the show on Mexican television called Chiquilladas way back in the day.
No, man.
You guys are way too young. Yeah, because that was old even for me. It's salió un morrito ahí.
Yeah.
And he was, it was like a sketch comedy show, but with little kids.
Oh, okay.
Y salía el maguito Rodi. And so they would always call me Rodi.
Nah. Never.
Esa que decía chimpom pan tortillas papas. And he would do his little magic spell.
No, I've never heard of that. But well, I just want to say, first of all, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're listening to this, to another episode. Rod and I met through a friend in common. Well, he's my tax guy, honestly. My, what would you call him, accountant? Tax
preparer.
Tax preparer, something like that. And then we got in contact. We started talking, and then it was pretty cool to see kind of your podcast as it's been, you've been doing it from the first episode to this last episode that you uploaded yesterday or today. It's been a really big improvement, so that's been really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I started uploading way before I was ready because I was like, if I keep waiting to upload before when I'm ready, I'm just never gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, so if I just commit to having one a week, like, I have to. Yeah. I have to start doing it.
And what's your podcast called?
Alta Red.
And it's in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
It's directed for the Spanish community.
Yeah, it's
cool.
I don't know. It's the older I get, the less I like speaking English. I've found.
Okay, that's very odd to hear because it's usually backwards. It's the older, especially if you have like kids, I guess, who are English speaking fluent. The older they get, it's like the more English they want to speak.
See, and I don't want my kids speaking English.
For me, it's also like
house.
that. I prefer speaking Spanish.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why? Is it just because like the culture,
it's that. It's
the words, the slang.
Everything. I mean, I don't know. And I think now that you mentioned it, the kids, now that I have kids, it's like I just talk to them in Spanish all the time. And at my house, we always spoke Spanish, me and my brothers, me and my parents. We all know English, but we don't speak English at the house. It was just very unfamiliar to speak English anywhere else. Yeah,
it was like that in my family household too. Very Spanish. Like at the house, it was like, okay, you get home, you speak Spanish. You leave the house at school, you speak English. But
do you have siblings?
Yeah. Yeah, and all of them speak Spanish and English, but I think my Spanish is by far the best out of all of my siblings.
Yeah, they're more like almost fully English.
Yeah, they're probably like 70% English, 30% Spanish.
Are you the oldest?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I was a guinea pig. What about you? Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the third out of four.
You got all the good care of them.
Yeah. By the time they got to us, they weren't... too worried about us anymore. We kind of did whatever you wanted.
Prepared. So I wanted to ask you. So I've been listening to your podcast, right, and podcasts that you've been on, and so your background is music, right, and then something happens, and then you transition into podcasting. And how long you been podcasting for?
Almost a year now.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
So what happened that in that section right there that you're like, you know what, I'm gonna put music to the side. I want to do podcasting now.
I was playing with my cousin's band with Adictos.
Okay.
Again, because that's one of the first bands I started playing with when I was like 20, 21.
Oh, okay.
And kind of through different bands and stuff. Then I was with them for about another year and a half or so. And then the pandemic happened and we kind of slowed down on playing. And he replaced me with his old bass player without telling me.
Oh.
So my other cousin that's in the band, he hit me up one day and was just like, it's like, hey, did Freddie, does he talk to you? Did he tell you you're done or what? Because we butt heads a lot, me and my cousin.
Oh, okay.
So right off the bat, I told him, I was like, well, yeah, I'll help you out. But, I mean, if we start butting heads, if you want me out, just let me know and like no hard feelings.
Right.
But instead, he just kind of did that, so my cousin's like, oh yeah, because we're playing with this other dude now, and like we've been practicing with him. We already played a gig and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so I called my cousin. I'm like, hey, ¿qué pedo? And we get to talking, kind of arguing and stuff. And he's like, well, you just didn't look like you enjoyed it. That really kind of made me reflect, though. I was like, no, now that you mentioned it, maybe I wasn't enjoying it too much.
Yeah. What was so this has always been a question of mine, and I don't know. I mean, it could have changed by now that we're in a different time from the time you were playing. But these smaller groups, these Idaho Falls groups, where we live in our area, these smaller like Norteño groups or whatever. Mm-hmm. What is like a base income for a person that plays in that group? So if I played, let's say, the second voice.
Kind of depends the band. I mean, the bands I've played in, not to toot my own horn, but I've only been in bands where I'm making, if it's a private party, $500, $600 a night.
Whoa.
If it's a bar, it can be $100 maybe. So
that's way better by private parties.
Yeah, but it's a trade-off. I mean, a bar is not half as much work. You just show up, plug in, and go.
Oh, okay.
You're not carrying in all the speakers. You're not there. Yeah. You're not playing for 5 hours. You're going to play an hour, 2 hours at the most, and you're done.
Oh, interesting. So
you get fucked up.
You get all drunk. No, and I've seen it too, where like they actually do get drunk. It's kind of funny. I always wondered because there's a couple around here. I don't know too much who now like plays around here, but there was a guy on your podcast who I've seen multiple times play around here. Mm-hmm. That has always been my question. I was like, I wonder how much like they actually earn a night, But 500, shit, I do it for $500.
Yeah, and that's the high end. I think that's what I was saying. I've been in bands that do pretty well, but I mean it's a huge hustle. And when you're just starting out, you're going to be making $50 a night. Sometimes you're going to be making. But if you don't keep on doing it, you're never going to get to where you can make a good living off of it. So. And
did you ever travel out of state for?
Yeah, but not far. I mean, we're talking like up to Montana, Jackson, Wyoming, stuff like that. A lot of bands go to Utah. I never went to Utah actually, but.
Is it more money out there?
You know what? It's something. It's an old saying. My mom used to always tell us, "Nadie es profeta en su tierra." Nobody's gonna be big in their own hometown. Like we could play here and nobody goes. When we go to Boise, pack the show. Everybody loved us. We'd go to Burley, everybody loved us. We'd go on the radio there and stuff, and but here in IF it was a little tougher.
Yeah, she was telling me that in a podcast, and I kind of want to get your opinion on this. She was saying that, Jackie was saying that let's talk about podcasting, right? So in a podcast, you're only going to get so much support from the community you're in. And I was telling her that most of your support will come out outside your community. Mm-hmm. And so do you think that's true with podcasting?
Very, very true. Yeah.
Anything else that you do?
Yeah. You get to a point where you'll see it with your podcast. You'll see a certain really quick growth at the beginning, but then it stops. Mm-hmm. That's the people that are friends and family with you. Yeah. That's the people that don't like you, that want you to talk shit. That's that core group of people. Yeah. And it's going to be like that. It stays like that for a while. Then you see another growth spurt. And suddenly you see your analytics are showing people from different states or from different countries. Yeah. Or you start getting comments from people from different places and stuff. So it's like, that's cool. And what I've seen is that's kind of how it goes. It goes in spurts like that. So. Yeah.
So what's, where are most of your supporters from?
According to the analytics, it's mostly here and a lot in Mexico too. Oh wow! Which that's cool. I had an episode with a cousin of mine from Mexico, and we just did it over Zoom. Oh, very early on.
And you probably could have sparked that.
And she got a lot of views and stuff, and kind of from there, I've seen a lot of people that have kind of kept on after that. So.
That's cool. So you were playing with her cousin, and then stuff happened there.
Yeah, and so it was a long time. I didn't pick up a guitar for a while, and truth be told, I haven't yet. And
is that where you play guitar?
I like guitar the best, but in the bands I always played bass. There's always a need for bass players. Oh, okay. And so, but you get to a point where you just want to do something creative again. Yeah. And you're just sitting around doing nothing. And shout out to Edgar, to Scarface of Mess Love Moguls. Mm-hmm. I had the idea to do a podcast, but I never actually did. I remember like I did like an Instagram poll, like, hey, if I did a podcast, who would listen to it? And everybody was like, yeah, but I just never did it. Then he started his. So very early on, if like early episodes, I would go on and hang out with him and do that.
Oh, cool.
And he invited me to be his co-host, but I was like, I have a lot of fun going on a show, but if I'm going to be like a part of something, I'd rather just do my own thing. So
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find like what I've noticed with podcasts. It's hard to find co-hosts that are going to be as dedicated as you are to that project, right?
Yeah.
So initially with this podcast of mine, it wasn't going to be her as my producer behind the scenes. It was going to be a friend of mine, but it was very hard to kind of get him to be as dedicated as I was because he was pursuing his own thing on the side too, his own project. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this on my own and I'll just and she came up to me. She's like, I'll help you out. So that's what I've found.
Yeah.
And do you think that's still true to this day?
It is. Yeah. I mean, Edgar and I are still pretty tight. He'll come on my show. I'll do stuff with him. We'll do projects together. But I feel that was what I felt, not only for me, but for him. It was like, I didn't want to shortchange him. Like I knew I wasn't going to be able to be in 100% like he would want me to. So
yeah. I've talked to him a little bit, not too much. Before I started all this, I asked him about like a good camera. Excuse me. And then he just told me like this and that. And I was like, cool. But I haven't talked to him. I've seen his episodes on your podcast. They're pretty funny. And so, yeah, shout out to you, Scarface, Edgar. I don't really know you, but.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude. I've known him for a long, long time, years and years.
Yeah, I've seen his, he edits really cool.
Yeah.
His editing is tip-top shape. That shit's badass.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's working hard. That's what he's doing now for a living. So pretty proud of him. We're Eskimo brothers, by the way, me and Edgar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at
Do
that.
you guys know what that means?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I don't. No.
You can explain it if you want.
So Eskimo brothers.
We had an episode where that came up, and my friend Lily was on. My best friend Lily was on, and she didn't know what that was. But we said it in Spanish, dije cremanos de leche. And she didn't know.
You get it now?
Oh, okay.
And she didn't know. And so there's this whole part where we explained it, and she's like, dude, my parents listen to this, man. You gotta cut that out.
Man. No, that's funny, though. Yeah, I have a couple Eskimo brothers of myself, so.
Yeah, it happens. It's Idaho Falls, man. There's like 10 people here.
True. Okay, so then you were talking to him about joining, and then you ultimately said, you know what, I want to start my own thing.
Yeah, and so then and it was actually, the idea was me and Lily. But same thing, she hardly ever had time. But the idea was an entertainment podcast with me and Lily.
Yeah.
And
so when was it, or why did you decide to do it in Spanish? That's very, because I know you like to speak Spanish, but it's very odd.
Mm-hmm. That's reason number one. And reason number two was like, if I do a podcast in English, it might sound a lot like Edgar's.
Gotcha, because you guys are so
yeah, because
similar.
we know so many of the same people. We're from the same age group where everything's the same. So I'm like,
interesting.
Let's switch it up.
Yeah.
And that way, a lot of the very interesting people I know are from the music scene here. A lot of those guys don't speak English. So I'm like, some of the most interesting people I know. My very first episode with Martin Andrade, he doesn't know English. And I used to play with him in Nobles de la Sierra, and he writes his own songs. He sings. We just did it at his house. He played a few songs on his guitar. And everybody loves that episode. And it was like the quality's like crappy, but everybody loves that first episode just because like I wanted to start strong. I went for like the most interesting dude that I know. So.
Do you think in podcasting, can you remind me?
This is the wrong fucking hat to wear to a podcast.
He just threw his hat, guys. It's a nice hat, though. I do. You look fly in that shit.
I didn't want to do my hair because the lady that does my hair isn't back in town until tomorrow.
Dude, tell me about it. Guys, I'm going to expose
His
myself.
is really bad.
Mine is terrible. Look at this, dude. Like, it's...
Oh, look at that.
It's... But... I was trying to get a haircut today, and my barber wasn't
I think
available.
it's been over a month.
All right, well, we don't got to go into the specifics. Well, yeah.
Why don't you cut his hair?
He doesn't let me.
You should wax his hair.
I know, but he doesn't let me.
Do you get waxed?
I do.
What do you wax? You wax your asshole and all that?
No. We haven't gotten there yet, but...
It's not as bad as they say,
You've done it?
Yeah, I get.
Shit.
I've been getting
Brazilians?
the manzillion.
It's It's men's. Yeah.
Manzillion?
Yeah.
Shit. Now that you've mentioned it.
I used to.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Does your tatas come out cleaner? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, it feels a lot. Let me tell you the
brown?
story. Because the first couple of times I went in, I would always it's the asshole's included, but I would always
Right.
just get my nuts and my wiener, and I thought my wiener and my nuts were gonna hurt most, but it doesn't hurt that bad. You know what hurts is the part right above it.
I get that wax all the
It's
time.
same with girls.
Really, that
Yeah.
fucking part kills. Like they grab my nuts and they grab my dick, and it doesn't hurt that bad.
Like a guy or a girl?
What? That waxes me?
Yeah.
So far, all girls. I haven't been lucky enough to get a guy. So,
That was good.
but like, I don't know, maybe the fourth or fifth time, like they would always say, like, do you want to do
See,
the
this is my
between
problem
the cheeks?
because like she's tried, you know, but I'm like, not yet. Like I'm working my way there. You know what
Like
I'm saying?
I'm trying, I'm almost there, and he doesn't fucking let me.
Because the problem
Have you
is
done
like,
a manzillion though before?
I haven't.
that's the thing.
That's
I'm
another
scared.
scary thing. Because I went the first time I went was as a model for them. So it was a girl that was just learning,
Okay.
and it was like you have to. I'll tell you right now, you have to like stretch it and make it really taut, or else it does hurt. This
Yeah,
girl
well,
didn't
that's how
understand.
we do it with girls too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to stretch
Pull
out,
on that shit.
stretch out the
Yeah.
curtains
She
and everything.
waxes a lot on my body besides my legs. You know, my stomach, my eyebrows, my back, hair, things like that. But just that down part, we haven't gone
You
there.
you gotta take the jump. I mean, you got your private wax, or like what?
For real.
Like I go through the nerves of they're gonna see my wiener every single time. And no, but the girl wasn't stretching it out enough, so it was hurting. And the instructor kept like saying, "No, you have to like grab it and like grab it
that
strong." And
Where do you go?
it was called Lunchbox. It's Radiant Wax.
Okay,
Oh,
they're
okay, yeah.
fast. I've heard they do it like this.
So like the third or fourth time, I mean, they're always asking like between the cheeks, but the fourth, maybe fifth time, the girl convinced me. She's like, "No, I mean, it's part of the deal. Like, it's gonna be you." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
See, this is my
Like,
thing,
you're
though.
already
like,
there somewhere
Like
as well.
summer's coming up, and I know hair holds up sweat. So like I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
like
That's,
if you're clean down there, that sweat's just gonna run down your leg. Like
Oh
it's,
no, you
slippery
feel
slide.
a lot more refreshed after. You don't
Oh,
feel as
really?
your balls don't get as nasty, or your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't have to keep a shampoo bottle next to my toilet because I don't have hairs on my asshole.
Damn. That's why I use baby wipes, dude.
Where are you gonna put those? Oh, you can't flush them.
Fuck. Flush them
You have
down,
a
dude.
No, you live in an apartment. Yeah, have at it.
Yeah.
But when you have to do your own plumbing, you don't want to do that. But but yeah, they put you on all fours and you feel all sexy.
That's the thing though. Is like I'm like, I don't know. Like I feel weird being all four. You know, it's something about it like doesn't.
Yeah, there's no
feel
one else
right.
there though. You'll be fine. And I mean, it's your wife. Who cares?
Listen, when I try it, we'll do part 2 or part 3, and then I'll tell you my experience.
Be like, we'll go together.
It's okay if I say it, but she's the one that does these, so I guess that won't work. Unless you want to go to Radiant, let's go to Radiant together.
Let's go Radiant, bro. Shit. We're gonna be in the same room.
No, they don't let you have that. Someone else in the room.
Funny when he asks.
Do you want him to hold your hand or what?
I don't know. He's convincing me over here, so he's
No,
pretty
pero
good.
luego cuando vas a cagar,
Te
it's
está
a
hablando
whole different
bonito.
feel. Like it changed my life forever after that. I'm like, oh my God. Like when you go to wipe, it's like the cleanest feel ever, you know?
And are you married or
Or divorced.
divorced, juntado,
Divorced.
just single? So do girls like it or what? When they see when you're walking out, you know, after you get done doing the deliciousness. and they
You
see
know,
your
I mean,
butts,
from
your-
my experience,
butt cheek
most
all
girls won't put, not that they won't, but they would rather put something hairless in their mouth than something with a lot of hair.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say right there? You've gotten the lick down there?
Oh, you're talking about my ass?
Yeah.
You don't need his ass?
Nah.
No.
No, we're not there yet.
Nah, you guys are,
Yeah.
Listen,
That's a whole nother
what the
level.
hell's the point of being married if you're not licking each other's assholes?
I mean, we've been married for less than a year.
Oh, okay.
We're
Dude,
getting there.
let me just say, I've tried to do things, but he's like, no.
Nah, her trying
You're
to
the
do,
prude out of the two?
Yeah. No, like this is the thing though. I like to do things. I don't like to have things done to me.
But
unless it's certain
what's
things.
the fun in that?
Yeah, what's the fun in that?
Listen, I'll get my ass ate. I don't care. But she just wants to put shit into my ass, and I'm not into that. You know. You get it, right? I mean,
You know, if she slips a finger in there, just let it happen.
I have heard though that if they put a finger in there, the fucking that metal down
She
there.
has
goes-
tight. Look at her hands. Like you can't even be scared of that. She might go wrist deep. She might lose her watch, but
Shit.
at least she's a tiny lady. Like you're not. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I've had bigger shits in her fingers.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
No issue.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's the issue. I just think like my manhood for some reason, like I feel like my manhood would be a little bit off. I don't know. Listen, we're gonna try it out one day, but not right now.
And then you guys gotta talk about it on the podcast. You know, sex sells. Anytime we talk about some nasty shit on the podcast, everybody loves that shit. Yeah, everybody loves that shit.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's right? Do you think that's okay? How do you feel about that?
That's fine. It's part of humanity. It's part of biology.
You know, that's an interesting fact. They say that every great civilization falls at the time where sex becomes such a big part of the civilization. Like the Romans, for example. Yeah. They got too comfortable. They start experiencing with wine and fucking kings start to fuck little servants and whatnot. So
do you think we're getting to that point? Do you think we're nearing the fall of society?
I think so.
Do you think we're lucky to be living the fall of society? Because I would much rather live the fall of society than the rise when nobody's fucking.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to live in the 1980s. No, well, I wouldn't say 1980s because 1980s was a pretty fun time. I'm not trying to live like in the industrial age, you know, where things are coming up. I think we're in a good spot right now if we can just keep it chill for a couple more years.
I mean, and when you look at the spectrum of things, we're talking about us. I mean, you got to give us at least another 100 years. We won't be around. I don't give a fuck what happens.
My kids will.
Oh, well, they can deal with it.
They have their own. Yeah, that's their own issue to deal with.
They can deal with it.
Yeah, they can deal with that. Yeah, no, I mean, if they give me like, I'm 20, if they give me, let's say, another 50 years, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Give me another 50 years of life, of good life. You know, we're
and
privileged.
And you're what, 20?
I'm 20, 21.
So 70, you only want to live 71?
It's a good run.
I've always said that. I'm not criticizing you at all. I've always said 50s and 60s I'd be fine.
If I was to die like 75, if I got to 80, that's a really good run. I'm happy with that.
Like that's too much.
80 years, that's almost 100 years.
I know, it's a lot. And that means like at least 10 or 15 or 20 of those it's like taking pills every day and shit.
Yeah, like
That's not life.
You know, I feel like the first 30 years of those 80 is like the stress, you get wrinkles and shit. And then after that's where you either have a chill life or you have more stress and wrinkles.
Yeah, so you might as well just euthanasia.
So your podcast is it's all Spanish. What have you found? Because you've done it for a year now. So what have you found to be one of the most struggling parts of it and one of the most fulfilling parts of it?
The fulfilling is when you get people that you don't know commenting or people, even if you don't know them, but I've had people I haven't talked to in a long time come up to me at the store and be like, hey man, I watched your show. It's really good. Yeah. So that feels good. That, and even negative comments. The first time we got a negative comment, you know, my friends thought I was going to it was going to bum me out, but I'm like, no, it means people are listening. It means someone that doesn't know me watched the show enough to criticize me.
Right.
And I'm like, that means she watched, and she was talking shit about like multiple episodes. So I'm like, she watched a lot. I'm like, thank you for the views. She just said I was bad at interviewing, which I'm like, this is an interview podcast. First of all, it's conversational. Yeah. And then she said, she was like, deberías de estar mejor en ventaneando. Se ve que te encanta el chisme. And I'm like, how is that an insult? Like that was one of my favorite shows growing up, ventaneando and like TMZ, all sorts of gossip shows like that.
You're like
that was a compliment to me. She was trying to insult me, and I was like, fuck, could you imagine being on one of those shows? I mean,
you make money.
A great compliment. Hell yeah.
You know? The thing is, like, that's the thing I don't get about people. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
That's the thing is like. This is what we haven't gotten a bad comment yet, but I already told in the beginning episodes, I don't give a fuck if you hate on my podcast or on whatever. If you hate on me or her, I don't give a fuck because that's not what I'm here to do. But it's absurd to me that people take time to watch your podcast and say, you know what, I don't like it, but then go back and watch another episode, even though they don't like it. Yeah, just to say, hey, I don't like your podcast. Like, how much time did you use just to hate on me?
Yeah.
You know, that's absurd to me because I think time is the most precious thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. But if and when you get a bad comment, just think of that. Just be like, that's someone we don't know that watched this. So
yeah.
Because people that you do know, they're not going to talk shit on you publicly anyway. Like I said. Your core group is people that like you and people that hate you. Those are the people that are watching week after week.
So what has been the struggle?
The struggle has really been scheduling, especially when I'm so guest based. That's why now that I have a co-host, it makes it so much easier. Like,
Yeah.
and even before I had the co-host, I've like my best friend Lily would come and help me run cameras sometimes, or Angelica. I have Angelica esta Mata. She's a nuclear engineer up the site,
cool.
and she would come help me with the camera. My friend Oscar, he would come help me with the camera. He's some sort of therapist, and
shit.
Lily's a dental hygienist. Like we all went to college together, and
Yeah.
so they're all professionals. So I'm just really happy that they could take the time out of their day to come help me out.
Yeah.
I run a podcast,
There you
and
go. Shit. That's professional.
yeah, and so I mean, there was a time where like the guest canceled last minute. Lily was already there, so let's just record a podcast, just me and you bullshitting.
Yeah.
And so that's what's great about having a co-host now with Jackie. It's like if someone doesn't show up, like we can still record. If we absolutely need an episode, we'll just fucking sit down and bullshit, and there's our episode.
Yeah, that's having a co-host. I think is because when I first started this, I was like, I might just do it by myself and like bring up topics or think of topics, and you know, because I've seen it done before, and I'm like, if they can do it, I can for sure do it. But having a co-host is a little bit more fun because there's more fluidity with the conversation, you know, and topics. Is it frustrating to you when guests cancel last minute?
When it's last minute, yeah. When it's like even a day before, I'm like, you know what happens? It's like I said, we're starting out. We're not offering anything huge.
Right.
So it's like, I understand life happens. I mean, even like Jackie was supposed to be here today. I think she ended up having to work late.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I going to do? Have her quit her job? Like
Shout out to you, Jackie.
like that'll be the goal eventually, is to live off of this and be able to pay her,
Yeah.
you know, but
So-
at this point it's like, she can't make it. She can't make it.
So, yeah, that is true. I mean, you know, we've had times, we've never said this actually on our podcast, but we've had times where maybe our vibe is not there, or maybe just the week hasn't been good for us and whatnot. And, you know, we're human and we're perfect, and we'll try to record, but I'm like, the vibe isn't there. Let's put it to the side. We'll record
Do you not put
tomorrow.
those episodes out?
No.
The episode that dropped today for me, I fucking hate it.
Really?
I told Jackie that this morning. I was like, I fucking hate the episode today because I was like, I come off like such a dick on multiple parts of this episode. I was like, you need to watch that. I was like, you need to keep me in check on that shit. But
The one with the guy?
with Miguel, yeah, he used to be
okay.
era mi cuñado like 11 years ago.
Ex cuñado.
Yeah.
Ex cuñado.
It was fun.
Shit.
It was a fun episode, but I don't know. Something was off.
I think that we've had, I think that's normal, and I think that's okay in a way, because you want your episode to be, in my opinion at least, you want your episodes to be as natural and as relatable as you can kind of have them.
Organic. Like
Yeah,
that,
organic. So like there's been times where she's been kind of like a little bit harsh on me.
Roasting
but,
him.
Yeah, like hardcore. But like to me, it's like, that's part of her. So I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, let's stop the episode and re-record.
Like, you just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just think that with episodes, for us especially, I think that if the vibe isn't there, if I can tell the vibe isn't there, we're not recording.
No.
But we always have the time to record, so like we can.
Yeah,
make
well,
sure-
you're doing it out of your house and stuff, and
Yeah.
you live together.
So how was it that you ended up in that studio that you're in?
When I started, I would ask my guests, where do you want to record? Like, do you want to do it at your house? I mean, I recorded with, especially when it's someone I don't know. Like, there was a couple episodes where they were at my house, but they're like really close friends. Like with my friend Oscar, we just did it at my house. But when it's people sometimes you don't even necessarily know him. It's one of the guys that used to be on the radio. Un locutor de aquí he got fired. And so I wanted to ask about that, but I don't know him personally. So I was like, where do you want to record? We ended up recording up at Calacas Tacos and Miches right there. We both know the owner dude. So he just let us use the spot. And I mean, that was just kind of a week guest by guest basis. And so I hit up Luis. I mean, I've known him Luis from Latino Taxes for a long, long time, years and years.
Tax guy right there.
And I was like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? He's like, yeah, where? I was like, if you want, your office. And I show up, his office is a small little office. And he's like, no, I have this other room there, this little conference room. And there was fucking chairs strewn all over. There was shit all over the place.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was bad. Like right now it's kind of, there was nowhere. And so we like cleared it out and we did it there. And he started asking me, he's like, so, do you have do you sell in ads and stuff yet? And I was like, at that point I was like, we get like 50 to 60 views a week. Like, I'm not going to sell you an ad, man. Like, I want to get there, but I'm not going to do that, especially not to you because I know you personally. And so, but when I was going home, it just something dawned on me, and I hit him up. I was like, how about you sponsor? I put a commercial for you on the show, but you let us use your room that you don't use anyway.
That's sick.
And so he's like, hell yeah. He's like, deal.
It worked out.
And so so that went, and then the beginning of this season, we got the backdrop, we got the lights, and we got everything. Like, I mean, it's looking a lot cooler now.
Yeah, no, it looks dope. Well, we went once and you weren't there. The first time he told me about you, and he was like, yeah, look at his studio. And so he walked me back there because he was grabbing some papers or whatnot. And I saw your stuff, and I saw your Scarlet, and I was like, that's sick. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a sick little studio, you know? And then I watched the videos once we connected, and I was like, yeah, it looks sick. Yeah. Like his studios look sick. And that's the thing with podcasting is, and you have guests over. I was telling her, like, we're going to have more guests coming on. And right now, a lot of it is people that I know or that, you know, have some type of connection
trust.
with.
And you guys don't have kids, so that's another thing that,
yeah.
If you had kids, I'd be like, don't invite people.
Yeah. And that's, I tell her, I'm like, at some point I want to get a small room, you know? Yeah. And so we're hoping to sell this contract of this apartment so we can move into something that's a little bit less. And then we can see if we can move into like an actual little room, because you just don't want to have anyone over your house, you know? Yeah. People are crazy nowadays.
Yeah, that's the way I was, like I said. I mean, you can trust most people, but if you don't know them, why, you know, you don't want them in and out of your house. Exactly. And so we're at the studio now, and it's super cool. And just to be there, even right now it's tax season, so it's just a buzz. It's fun to be in there sometimes, just hanging out even.
So you're doing your podcast, and then how long was it before you're like, you know what, I need a co-host? Or how did that come about? How do you know Jackie? Tell me that backstory of everything.
I've known Jackie for a long time. What's today? Tomorrow's March 1st. So like a month I've known her.
Oh, wow.
I met her at the beginning of February. It's funny because my friend of mine named Marissa, she's my best friend's sister, actually was going to be a guest with this other girl that I know, she's my cousin's daughter. But she actually, it's funny because they actually works with Jackie, and shit like this happens where she's like, you know what, I have to work late, I can't make it. I'm like, okay, cool. So I told my other guest, I was like, Naomi, I was like, it's just gonna be me and you, but if you have someone that wants to come kick it, you know, bring them on. And she brought Jackie, and we just immediately clicked. We just I don't know, it was really fun to just meet someone like that. Yeah. And so when we finished the episode, we were just kind of chit chatting and stuff. And actually it was in between because Naomi's babysitter like fell through. So we went on commercial break, and she's like, I'm going to go pick up my kids. And so we ended up just hanging out, just me and Jackie for a while. Mm-hmm. And that's when she was like, no, I really like this place. You know, it's cool. Like, I would love to like be on more. Like, I would love to co-host. And I was like, you serious about that? And I was like, I'm going to put you to the test. So that whole week, like all week, I was like, show up at this time. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And she showed up every day that week. So I'm like, yeah, you're
that's
in.
Sick.
And so I'm like, and here's the trick of the trade. Sometimes you just put stuff on social media to make you look better than what you actually are, I think. Because I was like, watch on Thursday, let's do an episode, just me and you. I'll put it out as a bonus episode. It'll be short. Yeah. It'll be like a job interview. Huh. And so the week before I released that, I posted on Instagram, hey, I'm looking for a co-host. So if anyone wants to apply, hit me up. And so nobody fucking applied. Yeah. But that week after, we got the job interview episode, and you know, welcome aboard. And she's had, and sick. I mean, we're so far ahead in episodes right now too, which I'm happy about. Like today, the one that dropped today is her first like official co-host episode, but I have like 4 other ones ready with her already on them. So
that's sick. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, that's pretty sick. Cause I know, so Jackie and I, we don't know each other like well, but we know each other because one of my cousins that's from Mexico, he was here last year, and he was friends with the guy who was friends with her. Mm-hmm. No, he was friends with the guy who was friends with the guy that was friends with her. So then all of a sudden, like one night, I forgot what we were doing. I think we went. We were doing something. We went to a baile or quinceañera, some shit like that. And then those friends of his said, hey, like, come over to the house and kick it and whatnot. So we went over there, and I was just tagging along. And then I met the friend, and then she was there, and I met some of the other people. And so we know each other through that. but we never had really talked. So when I saw that you had kind of connected with her, I was like, that's pretty sick because to me, she's pretty nice. So she's a cool person from the times that we've talked.
Yeah.
So
well, she's very creative. That's why she reminds me of me at her age. I mean, I'm 16 years older than her, and just the stuff she was telling me, like she writes, she wrote a book, she's working on this, she like ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be famous. I'm like, you're me, man. You're like, and like we hung out like that whole week. Like I said, there was a few times like we went and got a bite to eat and stuff, and we get talking about real personal stuff and like I straight up told her, I was like, I just hope you don't get a fucking creeper vibe, because I'm a lot older than you. And she's like, if I had that vibe, I would have left like right away.
Yeah.
And even my friend that works with her, like the next day we were texting about it, and I was like, dude, Jackie's cool as fuck, this and this and this. And she's and I was like, oh yeah. And then Friday, like we hung out, we went to Best Buy and we did all this. And she was like, maybe Jackie likes you more than a friend. I was like, no, dude. I was like, not at all. Like it's super platonic. Like I know when someone's like that. I was like, honestly, I haven't fucked in like 2 months. So the thought crossed my mind when I met her. But when I really met her, it's like I'm like in love with her not in a romantic way and not in a horny way. Like I love this person for who she is, and not in a romantic way, and not for a hatchet wound to stick my cock in either. So
no, it's
that's the only thing I miss about doing podcasts in English is like it says stupid shit like that.
Yeah, good thing this is explicit. Imagine I was like, dude, no sort of words, bro.
Oh yeah, can we swear on this, bro?
No, yeah, you can for
sure. Can we say cock?
Yeah, dude, go ahead.
After he said it 10 times.
I'll say it. No, I think that's important. It's important to kind of recognize whatever you're doing, whether it's like a business partner, a co-host, co-worker, whatever that is like, it's important to recognize the boundaries and recognize, okay, I want this person and I only like this person as this person, because I've seen it happen. I mean, I'm not going to go personal, but I've seen it happen very close to me in my personal life where a co-worker that was a female became more than just a co-worker. Yeah. And ended up being more than that, disrupted a lot outside of work. Yeah. So, I think that's important, and I'm happy and glad that you are like that you're like, hey, you know what? Nah, don't just because she's a co-host and she's a female, don't go for that stigma of like this and that. And it doesn't have to be female. It can be like, for example, let's say a gay guy, right? And that gay guy is this and that. And then there's that stigma. Oh, you have that co-host who's gay, or you guys, you know? I think that's stupid as fuck.
That's a big thing. Yeah, that's a big thing. And with me also, just gay rights in general. Everybody is so closed-minded around here. It seems like to where it's like, I mean, we haven't had a gay guest, but it's like, why not? It's just another guest. If he's interesting enough, why not? Why the fuck not? Yeah. I used to go to. I had a couple lesbian friends when I was like 21, 22. We used to go to Charlie's all the time. I had that was a fun club. You guys, you guys are fucking 21.
Yeah, I don't know what Charlie's is. It was
a gay bar in Pocatello. It was fucking badass. It was fun.
I feel like they get hella lit.
It was really lit, and there was no like pressure, no tension, no like I should buy this girl a drink or anything. It was just fucking fun.
Yeah, that's fun. That sounds fun.
Maybe the gay guys have pressure but like not me, because I wasn't there to score. I was just there to get fucked up and have fun.
Yeah, that's sick. I got a massage once by a bisexual person. Oh, sick.
Did your dick move?
Nah.
And you won't let your wife wax your asshole?
Nah, but like
terrible.
But like he got up to my like right here. Right here,
your ass cheek?
My ass cheek, and I was like laying face down. So I was like, I gotta decide if I'm gay here or not, and I decided I wasn't gay. I don't think that's how you decide,
Yeah,
but
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't think that's how it works. But in my mind, I was like, nah, I ain't gay. There's no way. So, anyways, it was fun though. It was a good ass massage, and I haven't talked to the guy in a while. But
was it like at a massage place or?
Nah, it was his house.
But he's like a massage massage therapist. I was gonna say masseuse, but masseuse is like that's politically incorrect. I think no.
He's like me, unlicensed.
Okay.
Yeah, basement type.
It's of freelance.
Deal. Yeah.
Did he go to school for it though?
YouTube.
Yeah, it's fun.
He was sweating after.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because he was like hot or like it was.
I don't know if it was because it was hot or because I'm hot.
Yeah, I don't know, but that fool was dripping after. Shout out to you, bro. Wherever you are.
You should have an episode where he comes in and gives your guest a massage.
I don't know, man. That shit's It's wild. Yeah. But anyways, okay.
So did you? No, you didn't. You guys weren't doing video podcasts at the beginning, were you? Just audio?
Yeah, just audio. So we started uploading. So we had a bunch of like shit come up that I was just like, how am I gonna work this out? You know? And so, because I'm sure you struggled through this in the beginning too. I got like these mics and all that, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna record off my phone. And then one thing happened. I needed this plugin, or I needed this, and then this other thing, and this, and so I was recording off my phone. I recorded all the episodes, but they would cut off like halfway because my iPhone doesn't have that much storage. So they'd cut off, and then I was like, okay, well, delete a bunch of stuff. I deleted everything, and then it wasn't able to transfer to the computer. So I was like, it's too large of a file. So then that's when I told her, I was like, okay, so should we get a camera? And yeah, she convinced me to get a camera, basically.
Yeah. This camera you're using, does it only do 30-minute increments?
70.
70? Oh, that's good.
70 minutes.
Because the one we have only does 30. I hate that.
Yeah, no, we do.
I have an older one that does 2 hours. So the solution I've done now is like, that's our main one. And I put the other, like the old school one that I have, that's 2 hours, like just at a weird angle. That way, if that one cuts out, then I'll just go to the other angle.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like, it's crappier quality, but at least it's there. Because there's so many episodes where it would just cut out and I wouldn't catch it. And
this one that you released, it looks really good.
yeah, that's a new camera. That's a camera that Luis bought for a side project of his. And now we're using it for a podcast as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So,
what camera is it?
A Nikon
No, that's what I have.
Z50, I think.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
It's a cheaper one.
Mine's a Z30.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and it's worked great so far. Shit. I've vlogged on it. I haven't uploaded the vlogs yet, but.
And I was only going to do audio too, but I mean.
You need the clips.
And my thing especially was it's in Spanish. And I started looking at dudes' phones while I was at work. And all the dudes that were born and or raised here either use Spotify or Apple.
Yeah.
But I started looking at the Mexicanos that are like Mexicanos.
Nuestra raza.
They all use YouTube.
Yeah.
Like
every
just to listen to music, they have YouTube. They have the fucking phone open all day. I'm like, how the fuck do you even do that?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, if it's in Spanish, it has to be on YouTube. And if it's going to be on YouTube, what's the point of like doing audio on YouTube? So we started doing video. And then just about then is when Spotify started supporting video also. So we do video on Spotify.
I don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, it's easy if you go through Anchor. I'm not sure who you go through. But
Oh, I go through Captivate.
yeah, Anchor is owned by Spotify now. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, we were just, it's just a bunch of stuff came up and I was like, yeah, whatever. And so it went up buying the camera and it's worked great. And so right now it's just, the videos are from like episode 17 or whatever and up. And so, but
yeah, same.
But you need, you in podcasts, I didn't know how important it was to have like video because a lot of the at least a lot of our growth has come from clips.
Yeah, same.
Reels.
The TikTok. I do really good on TikTok. And then I just put those on Instagram, and that one does okay too. But
yeah, I put mine on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
And I like just this week I started uploading a bunch of them onto YouTube. That's because I got a phone I had an iPhone 6 for the longest time, but it finally just stopped charging. And so I've been using
My dad.
and so I started using my an iPhone 7.
Yeah.
That was my niece's, but it's like it was from when she was really little, so it was only like a 32 gig one.
Okay.
So it was hard. Like I would have to make a clip, upload it, delete it. Yeah. And like I was to the point where it's like, okay, I uploaded TikTok, finished that, delete TikTok so I can download Instagram so I can upload it to that.
Jeez.
So then my brother who lives out in Minnesota, he was like, I'll send you another phone. I have another old phone that I have, but it has a little bit, it's 64, so it's like not a lot, but it's like twice as much. And it's an iPhone 6 again. I'm like, iPhone 6 kicks ass.
Hell yeah, I missed that button to push, dude.
Yeah, that's what I love. And you can plug your headphones into the thing and everything.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm starting to like do more clips on YouTube now because I can actually store more than one clip at once on my phone. So
nice. What do you do during the day?
what I do during the day, I text.
Shit. That is true. He does text.
I work at Challenger Pallet. I make pallets, cut wood, repair pallets. Wow. Edgar's dad is my boss, actually.
Really?
And sometimes he drives by on the forklift and I'm texting.
That's cool. That's cool. I have a friend that does that, but he picks up his pallets at the junkyard.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do like a freelance kind of thing with that. But
does it get money?
I think, I mean, it's like everything. I'm sure it is if you hustle really, really hard.
Yeah.
But like where I am, I mean, I work for the company. So it's like, I mean, and at the same time, they don't get on your ass too much about taxing and stuff like that because for the most part, we're on piecework. Just like if I don't fix enough pallets, it's my paycheck that's getting dealt with.
Interesting.
There's a few things we do on the clock. You know, that's when they're going to be on your ass more about like not being on your phone and stuff.
So, okay, so now you have Jackie. I know we go back and forth in this conversation, but it's, I want to kind of know a little bit more. So now you have Jackie as your co-host. Mm-hmm. What was your plan before you had her to grow your podcast? And now that you have this new, you know, kind of energy joining you, what's the plan forward? And you don't have to like be super detailed, but like kind of what are the goals or where you want to be, let's say 6 months from now, you know, the end of the year, something like that?
The plan was just to start a second season.
Yeah.
Because we took a break. The break went longer than I intended it to. My personal life went to shit. So for a little bit, I was even like, maybe I won't even start season 2. Fuck. But like I said, that's when I got like 2 different people stopping me on the street in the stores and saying, "Hey, when's your show coming back?" So I'm like, okay, we got to do this.
That gave you, did you take that like as a sign?
It's funny. I always argue with Jack about this stuff. I'm like, I don't believe in destiny. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in anything.
Really? You're atheist?
But I guess you could call it that. I'm a realist. And but the thing is, but then things like that happen. It's like
judge.
it's like my friend. I have a friend who I hadn't seen in a long, long time. Yeah. Like years and years. He was from elementary. Then there was this big wedding. Everybody from the old neighborhood. He was living in Montana at the time, but he came down to the wedding. We saw each other. We reconnected. It was really fun. Era mi tocayo, se llama Rodrigo también.
Oh shit.
The next weekend, we get word that he died.
Oh wow.
He ran from the cops, wrecked his car out on a fucking mountain, and I'm like, just came back to say, what's up one last time.
Damn.
Yeah. Before my dad died, I ran into him a few weeks before. He saw that my wife was pregnant. He didn't talk to us. And then when he died, my wife was like, I think Destiny gave him like one last chance and he didn't take it.
Wow.
And I'm like, and so there's stuff like that where it's like, if I did believe in destiny, it'd make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'm like, but it can also just be a big coincidence. And same thing with this, with the podcast, just people coming up to me and asking me about it. It just kind of lit the fire under my ass again. And so I started scheduling stuff, and like I was going back and forth with this big company that was interested in doing like a big sponsorship.
Oh, okay.
And it was going to be a pretty big lump sum of money for 30 episodes. But then they stopped replying. Like they never said no. They just stopped replying to my texts, my phone calls, my emails. Yeah. So I was like, well, fuck, we'll just get started without it. Cause I was going to use that money to like get the studio set up that I have now and stuff. So I'm like, we'll just keep going the way we were before. And then, so I started the first episode of this season was like still the same. We were just it looks like an office. Yeah. Like the second episode, we have the background, but we don't have the lights and stuff. And like it was kind of cool. Like I could have just waited to have the whole thing set up, but I actually like that. Like you can kind of see the gradual. And it was just with like each paycheck, I would buy one thing, and I'd find stuff like used stuff or on Facebook Marketplace and stuff, and I slowly built it up, and then Luis hooked it up with that new camera and stuff. So it's just worked out. So there was really no goal other than just let's get going again.
Let's get going.
Now my goal, I guess the improvement I did was I only had the interface with 2 inputs, so like it was always just me and one other person. Right. If the person running the camera, a lot of times they would jump in, but you couldn't hear them as well because they're over there. Yeah. So I have a 4-channel mixer. I'm like, nice. I'm like, I already had the mics. So and then it's like you said, I'm like, we really need monitors. So I got the stuff to get the monitors. I got like some cheap headphones for everybody, and and so my setup, I can have up to 4 people at once now, and that was the big thing. Yeah. That was what I wanted. My ideal one is to have someone on the camera like you guys have right now, that someone that's on off to the sides running the camera, but they can also talk, and then up to 3 people over here. But
that's sick, and that's really cool to hear, man. That's really cool to kind of see how you've gradually progressed in your podcast, because I think it can be, if you're a person who wants everything right then and there, it can be very discouraging to not have everything right there at that moment. You know, for example, I don't have the background, the lights, the fucking camera, the producer, this and that. But to what you're saying, and which I believe in too, it's like just jump in, start, get the episodes recorded. So that's really cool to see that you've been able to do that. And now, like literally, dude, I was so impressed with your video because I did see the videos from the past, and the one you have today that you uploaded, go check them out, Alta Red, right?
Alta Red, yeah.
I was like, holy shit, it looks really cool, you know. And I know for a fact it's gonna get better and bigger, you know. So that's sick.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and you're not gonna know what to improve until you fuck it up. Like, I mean, I sit there and review them before I edit them, and I'm like, ah, shit, that sounded like shit. I gotta go work on this. I gotta tweak this, tweak that, and that's how you improve. I mean, each one has been an improvement of the other. So
yeah. Do you think so if for someone who wants to start a podcast and they have nothing, no mics, nothing, what do you think? What would your advice be to that person?
Depends. If they have the content, if they know what they're going to talk about, just record a video on your phone and post that as a podcast. I mean, if you're doing it solo, whether you're doing it with someone else, you know what picks up really good is a phone in a car. An iPhone in a car sounds good enough to start with.
Or like an iPhone with headphones.
Yeah, that sounds good too. Mm-hmm. Before I did the podcast, before 2020 happened, I had a short series that was gaining some traction on YouTube called Chicanos in Cars Getting Tacos. It was a parody of Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And that just started because I had gotten a reckless driving ticket and I didn't have a license for a while. And
my God, this guy is filled with stories, dude. You make me want to have a part 2 with you and 3 and 4 because I feel like you have so many fucking like you getting your ass waxed and that coming in this podcast out of nowhere was such a curveball. I was not expecting that at all.
Well, yeah, we'll go for 6 hours. You guys have time. And
true.
But what was I telling you?
Chicanos and
yeah. And then my wife, my daughter, her parents, their whole family went to Mexico for like a couple of weeks on vacation. I lived in an apartment. The guy that was giving me a right to work lived across the street from my in-laws.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would get my brother to drive me to that house. I would spend the night there. That dude would pick me up and take me to work. And then at the end of the day, he'd take me to my apartment. I'd shower up. I'd just hang out until my brother could take me back to the house. It was fucking stupid. And so one morning I get up and it's at 5. They would always pick me up at 5:20. 5:20, like on the dot. And I get out there and it's like 5:15. And I forgot something. I think like my coffee mug or something. And so I ran back inside. I mean, I didn't last 30 seconds inside. I go right back outside and I'm waiting. I'm like, okay. It's not 5:20 yet. 5:24, 5:25. I'm like, these fuckers ain't coming. They just left. I mean, they didn't even stop. They could have stopped and honked. They probably just saw I wasn't on the curb. They just drove on. So I just called my boss, called Edgar's dad, and I was like, yeah, my ride didn't pick me up. He's like, well, try to find a ride. I was like, okay, on that. And then I went to bed. And so then I wake up and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get back to my apartment. I'm scrolling on Facebook and my friend Brian, it was like, ¿Quién quiere ir a los tacos? I was like, fuck. Perfect. I was like, I would love to go eat with you and you can take me to my house. Yeah. and we were hyped because Jerry Seinfeld had done that series independently, but it was just purchased by Netflix. So they'd put them on Netflix and they were making new ones. Right. And Brian and I are both big Seinfeld fans, Curb Your Enthusiasm, all that stuff. And so he starts driving and I pull out my phone and just start recording us bullshit. And I'm like, hey, welcome to Chicanos in Cars Getting Tacos. We're going to go fucking eat. And we just sat bullshit. And I got home and I had shit to do. I edited the video. It was like a 4 or 5 minute video. And it was just going to be a one-off. People kept hitting me up like, hey, ¿cuándo vamos a ir por tacos so we can do a video and stuff? I was like, look, when you want.
That's sick.
And so I started doing that. I did like 10 episodes of that. And then we were going to do a season 2. I got 2 episodes in. The pandemic happened. Nobody wanted to go eat. And there was hardly anywhere to go eat anyway. So halted that.
Yeah. Ended it.
But I mean, that's all I ever used was my phone. When I did the episode with Edgar, he was like, no, let's do like something cool. And he brought his camera and he had Julio and Weech were following us in their cars. So we actually got B-roll and stuff. So that one came out looking really cool. But to your original question, if you have an idea, just do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy all this shit. If you have friends that are interesting as hell, have a conversation with them. Chicanos and Cars Getting Tacos, they're short videos, but there's some of my, like, I go back and listen to those all the time. I don't know if that's narcissistic or not, but we just
I don't think it is.
Say a lot of funny shit. And honestly, I mean, we would drive around for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I would cut it down to like the best of that into like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And, just where we would say something funny or I mean, you're in a car, it's environmental. So some parts it's like, you can't hear shit in this part. We'll just fucking scrap it. So it was a lot of footage, but I mean, it was a good show and it was a lot of fun and people were into it. But that's why after that, when the pandemic happened, that's why I was like, should I do a podcast? And then it's just from there. But if you have the people and you know that you know the people, and that's what Jackie said. She's like, man, you're always coming up with guests. Like I'm meeting a lot of people through you. I'm like, it's like you said, I'm an interesting person. I'm old. Yeah. And I've never stayed at my house a lot. I've always been out and about, always met new people. I've been playing in bars, gigging at punk shows, whether it's a baile, whatever it is. I've always been out meeting people.
Yep. And that's the thing. I think that's very important too. If you're going to do like a guest podcast, is you have to, if you're naturally introvert, you have to build that skill set to meet new people. Even if you're out at the store, there's a guy that I want to have on and he works at a fucking music store. But I was talking to him for a little bit. The guy has his own band and whatnot. Really cool dude. I'm like, I'd love to have that guy on the podcast because he's interesting to me. Yeah. So, what's our time?
56.
Are
Okay.
you just doing an hour?
Yeah. Usually we only do an hour, but we can cut this and then we can see you after. But I wanted to ask you last question is, so I just brain farted. Fuck.
Don't be afraid of the longer episode, man. I mean,
yeah.
No, it's not that. It's the camera.
Oh.
That I don't want it to cut.
Oh, we'll just restart it.
True, huh? Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because that's the way I was like. I mean, we've had episodes that are like nearing 2 hours.
If not, I can convert it to. I can do whatever.
And then I try to get like the next episode that's coming up in like 2 weeks. We're coming off like some really long ones.
Yeah.
That next one's like, I think like 30 minutes.
Oh wow.
So it's like, throw it in. My friend from New York told me that he's like, you want to have those really short ones for when people discover your podcast. They're like, maybe I don't have 2 hours to listen to this, but there's a half-hour episode. I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
And then if they like that enough, they'll go listen to your 3-hour episode.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, if it cuts off, just come back and click it.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you, so with your podcast, do you can I ask this? Do you envision yourself somewhere big? And if so, how big?
Big enough to live off of it. I think that's the main goal. Like I said, I would love to have Jackie on the payroll. Quit your fucking job and let's just do this for a living.
That'd be sick.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. Do you want it to be like those massive out there, like Joe Rogan style?
That'd be cool. I mean, because you got to think on a global thing. Like even now, if anyone sees what I have to offer, the entertainment I try to do.
Yeah. I'm
also available. You want an MC for an event? Why not?
That'd be
you
sick.
want, different things like that. You can't just stick to the one thing. So, I mean, we're starting to do production for advertisements. We did an advertisement we recorded an ad for my friend Lily's, she does teeth whitening.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so we play that on our show, but she's also going to use that on the radio eventually when she gets to that point.
Oh, interesting.
So we did it in Spanish. We had a girl come in because I could have done it. I know how to do voiceover and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm your best friend. Like, it's not going to look as professional if it's just like a homie thing. Right. So I brought in a girl that does voiceovers. We made it sound really good. My brother out of Pittsburgh did the background music for it. So it sounds good. It sounds professional. So I want to get more into that also. So if people want ads, we'll record ads at the studio.
On the production
and
side?
We'll produce it, yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. It's getting more into production and helping produce other podcasts.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. And that's what I've told Jackie. I was like, Jackie, if you want your own show and like in English or something, fuck, let's do it.
Yeah. And like me be her, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have my own podcast and this be
But you're
badass and
running,
whatnot.
making sure it sounds good, making sure it looks good.
Yeah, but me be her in someone else's podcast that they want me to be a part of or that I can help them. You want to get that? I know you want it.
I don't.
Okay. Yeah. But I want to be that person because, you know, honestly, to me, this is like the dream, you know, because I grew up watching, like my grow up was not TV. My grow up was Joe Rogan. I think I've been listening to Joe Rogan since
like the beginning.
Since like 14.
Did you ever listen to DVD ASA? They were like sister podcasts almost. They started out the same. You can still find that one.
The podcast I started listening to was Joe Rogan and this other one called The Fighter and the Kid. Mm-hmm. Those two. And I listen to them every time. Like, I know when their episodes come out, so I listen to them exactly the time.
What's The Fire and the Kid? What's that one like?
It's two friends. Brendan Schaub is a host, and then his co-host Brian Callen. They're comedians, and then they just throw the shit around and have a conversation for 45 minutes, and then the last like 15 minutes, they have a segment called Current Events, and that's just their producer, like bringing up certain stories around the nation or around the world that are pretty interesting, and then they'll talk about that for the last 20, 15 minutes, something like that. It's pretty cool.
It's cool to see that generational divide once again, with you and me. Because mine are like, I always liked watching back in the day Otro Rollo with Adal Ramones. And I would watch Jay Leno until it got lame. Then until you discovered Conan O'Brien. And he was doing all these off the wall bits.
I watched a little bit of him.
And I've done some off the wall bits, kind of the similar. I try to be more like him. I have them up my sleeve. If I feel the episode's going slow, we pull out some dumb bit and we do it. And I've done a few like that. And then just when I thought that was the coolest kind of talk show, you got into podcasting. Norm Macdonald was a god to me, and he had his show on YouTube and later on Netflix, and it was like that's awesome, just free form, just bullshitting with your friends and it's just. But still, that kind of that format still where it's still more of a talk show. That's why I like having my desk and like the background. I like that more of a feel. Like I feel like my show. It's a podcast, but it's more of a talk show. It's like almost like a TV show. That's not.
Do you don't have to answer this question, but do you script your show? Do you have like a layout that you follow?
It depends. If it's a person that I don't really know, I even send them the outline beforehand.
Oh, cool.
But if it's someone I know, like
Lily, for example, or Edgar, or something like that.
Like the day that that guy canceled on us, I had an outline and he didn't show up. So me and Lily sat down, and in the first part of it, I was like, I'm just going to ask you the questions I was going to ask this guy. So it turned into this funny bit where it was a musician. So I was asking her like, when did you start playing music? And she doesn't, but she was just riffing. She was like, oh yeah, I started playing the violin when I was 6, and I'll just bullshit. And so, so it was
that was bullshit
because it wasn't true. But like with her, we can sit down and just talk about whatever, and it's a good episode. But if it's someone I don't really know, or someone that's coming on the show to promote their band or to promote their business, well, obviously, and I try to break it down. Like the first part of the show is always like, hey, so what's going on with your business? Like, oh, how did that start? And then like we go to commercial break. After commercial break, it's like, hey, let's talk about fucking getting your asshole waxed or something. Like that's when you get into the zany part of it. And then my clips come from the latter part of the show. That way, if you watch the clip and you think it's a cool clip and you want to watch that, you have to watch the first half of the show before you get to like the cool stuff that you watched.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Because some of the clips that we've done is towards the end, middle of the episode.
That's when you're getting into like real fun stuff anyway.
Yeah, like wax the asshole part. That's a clip it.
I'm surprised. That's really early on in the episode. I'm surprised that came out as early as it did.
Dude, you're comfortable with me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm comfortable with everyone.
There you go.
And I think that's another similarity with Jackie. She's always like, I make friends with anybody, and that was my whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
do you think there's I don't know how many podcasts are, and I'm just going to talk about around the area because it'd be insane to be talking about like California podcasts because we don't even, have contact with them. But do you think there's like, because this in Mexican culture, right? There's the very much of like the envy, right? The Mexican is a Mexican's worst enemy in a sense, right?
Like the whole lobster in a bucket kind
right.
of thing.
Do you think there's some of that in the podcast world here around us? because I don't know, to me, I know your podcast, and I've checked out Mezcal Mongols. What's it called?
Mesla of Mobile.
Yeah, I've checked his out, and that's kind of it.
That's a good question. I think it's...
Do you think there's like ego?
There's still some of that, but it's dying off. We're becoming conscious of it as a raza to where we're trying to kill it off.
Yeah.
I find myself criticizing people a lot, and I catch myself though, and I'm like, good for him. Good for her. Oh, this stupid shit he's doing. Good for him. You know, but it's, I think we're to the point where we're conscious and we're working on it. So it's not completely gone.
Right.
But it's definitely declining. It's not like our parents were. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah.
And our kids are going to be even cooler like that.
Yeah.
And it's an up and down. And then maybe their kids are going to be complete hippies, love each other. So that means that when they have kids, they're going to hate hippies and love. And so they're going to be uptight, and it's going to start all over again.
It's a cycle.
It's a fucking cycle.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, as far as the podcast, I mean, I think people that do podcasts are modern enough in their way of thinking that I don't think there's a lot of jealousy. I mean, there's a network, like I said, GKB out in New York. They've helped me out a ton. I've been on their show. Here locally, we have Mesla. Obviously, we have True Crime Exposed. Kayla Waters is the girl that does it. And
I think I know about her through a coworker.
She's really cool. I mean, and it's, I've never met her personally, but we text back and forth a ton. It's like, hey, I'm listening to your episode, do this, and like we just bullshit about podcasting. We give each other advice. We root for each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, there's a little bit of a podcast community building where it's like,
that's sick.
Where it's like, it's not like I'm going to steal your clients or something. So it's like, why not be friends with you instead?
Yeah. And realistically, I think that a lot of the cool thing for podcasting that I've seen it too is like everyone has their own personality. Mm-hmm. So everyone is different with it, you know? Like your show is completely different to Katie's show, right? Yeah. Or to Edgar's show, or to anyone else's show. And so, to my show, it's really cool to see how it's different. But I know that ego is, especially in the Mexican community, it's still there. You know,
you'll catch yourself watching whether it's an episode of mine or Mesla or whatever or whoever's, where you're gonna be like, oh, that one was. Like, why did they do that? Or I would have done it this way. But you're going to catch yourself and you're going to be like, but it's not my show. I have my own show. I can do that on my show. And
that's important is to realize when you're criticizing someone for their show and saying, hey, you know what? That's their show. I hope it does well. Mm-hmm. You know, because if you are just throwing that negative energy out there, you're just saying, oh, well, fuck that show. It's basically you're saying fuck your show too then. Right, because you're throwing that negative energy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you believe in energy like that, but I do, and so that's what I think happens.
You definitely have to keep that positivity, and I mean, even with Edgar, I mean, I talk shit on Edgar all the time, but we're close.
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those things. It's like with siblings or cousins and stuff, where you can talk shit on them, but nobody else can.
Right.
Like I'll defend Edgar, but I'll talk shit about him myself. Yeah. But if someone else says something bad about him, I'll be like, hey, watch your fucking mouth.
Yeah, no, I think, and too, it's like, it's not, I don't know. I just, what I've noticed is ever since I started this podcast, a bunch of other podcasts have popped up around here. Mm-hmm. It's really cool to see how they're all very different. And to me, it's like, I hope all of them do well because then my podcast is from the same area. So it can also do well, you know, if those people... Let's say I have, like, for example, having you on, right? Maybe I can have some of your people that listen to you that also listen in English.
Yeah, it's definitely...
It's like a win-win,
it's viral situation. Like that, yeah. People that listen to mine are going to listen to yours. And then when you guys come on mine, people that are going to discover your show and stuff like that.
Yep, it's cool.
That helps out.
What do you think is because you've talked to ad people, right? Like advertisers?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was telling you. The big advertiser fell through.
What do you think is the hardest thing to deal with advertisers, or for someone who's starting in a podcast? Mm-hmm. How would you guide them through advertisers and say, hey, you have
to choose wisely, because the thing is, here I go saying a saying that I don't believe in. It was a blessing in disguise. that they didn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, especially coming from a punk rock background such as myself, you don't want to sell out, but you
Right.
need the money. Something that they mentioned was that maybe we were going to have to cut back on the swearing, on the sex stuff, on anything like that.
Basically,
Like tone it
monetize-
down. And
not monetize, censorized.
And so I was talking to Luis about that, and he's like, "But it's money, man. Just do those episodes that they pay for, and then go back to normal." And I was like, "All right, we'll do that."
30 episodes, 30 episodes.
But then, then it fell through, and I'm like, you know what? Last episode, I was still married. And last season, I was still married. This season, I'm divorced. I can talk about all the shit I want without any repercussions. And I don't have a sponsor breathing down on my neck. We're going to talk about waxing assholes. We're going to talk about fucking. We're going to talk about all sorts of crazy shit. Because that's what draws people in. And that's what I told Luis. I'm like, look, other people in the area do similar things, not podcasts. I'm not, some people might figure out who I'm talking about, but they'll go to a business and say, I'll do a video for you, highlight you, it'll be $1,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. No, invite them on your show. They're guests. Don't charge them anything.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
If they want to buy an ad, then great. Then that ad's going to play even when they're not there. It's going to help to support the show.
Yeah.
People are going to tune in because we're entertaining, not because we're selling products.
And that's what I was telling, a person who I know who you're talking about. And I was telling this person who was telling me about that person.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a very small niche, man.
Yeah.
There's only so many small business owners around here that are first of all, $1,000. Well, what's your exposure? 1, 2, $1,000 is a lot for people around here. Mm-hmm. And these small businesses, they're not generating what these bigger businesses, like these bigger advertisers, Manscaped, for example, like those companies make, they don't make the same. You're talking about businesses that maybe run, let's say, what would you like, $500,000 a year? At most?
Exactly. And that's kind of my focus is the ads I'm trying to sell are usually local businesses. I'm going to keep it at a reasonable price. And, that way we can continue to work together. If in the future we're an enormous podcast, then obviously, I might throw a bone to some small company. But if I can afford to get big companies, then great. Yeah. But that's what that's why I explained to Luis is people are tuning in for the content, not for the advertising. So what the hell is the point? Like, you have to make it entertaining. And if part of my entertainment, part of my comedy, and part of it is swearing, then okay. We actually, up in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the very first episode that doesn't have a E for explicit. Because the guest it's a young girl. She was only 15. So I was like, oh shit. And we've been ending the episodes with a game of truth or dare. And some of the questions are like really sexual. So we just scratched that idea. and it was still a really interesting episode, but I'm like, I didn't swear. It was fun. It was, so I'm like, you got to kind of be able to do both, but because you want to, not because someone's telling you not to.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain people that you're going to have on that you're just like, I'm not going to swear in front of that person.
Or if it's someone more respectable, more older than you or something. Yeah.
Exactly. But if it's someone like a friend.
Yeah.
Dude.
You're going to bullshit. You're going to talk shit on each other. You're going to roast each other.
I had a bisexual guy massage my ass. Like it just happened.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because she knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Was that when you guys were already together? Or
no, that was before.
No,
we were
but
together.
he told me about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
well, as long as it was before.
Yeah.
Jackie actually just texted me. She couldn't make it today because there was a fire at the old folks' home, and she rescued a bunch of old people.
Oh,
so it's a good
superhero.
So it's a good reason.
Yeah, she missed for a good reason. We don't have to frickin' talk shit on you now. Unfortunately.
That's not why she
I'm
said
just
it
playing.
all, but yeah.
No worries. We can have her on next time. So yeah, because advertisers. That's the thing is like now with the culture being so woke, and you know what woke is, right? Mm-hmm. Being so woke, it's like they want to censorize you for being you, and I think that's wrong. I don't think that's cool at all. Because I mean, why would you want to get something for money? You're selling yourself out for money.
And especially if you're, I mean, you guys aren't, I don't think you guys consider yourself a comedy podcast. And I'm starting to accept it because everybody keeps calling me that. But it's
comedy
like.
podcast?
Yeah, but it's like,
I say the podcast, the way I have it described on like Apple and whatnot, it's a comedy influential podcast.
Oh, okay.
Because
I just say entertainment.
oh, there you go. Yeah. I say comedy because there's funny shit like waxing your ass. That you can get a laugh out of that. But then the informational or influential or whatever the fuck, because maybe you learn something out of it.
Yeah. I mean, we had an episode where the guest, I could tell she was on some shit. We got the commercial break and I asked her, you okay? She's like, honestly, no, I'm going through some shit. It's like, can we talk about how you're depressed? And so the second half of the episode was the longer part. And we just talked a lot about mental health and depression and stuff that we've been through. And that was one of my most viewed episodes. That was one of the most episodes that had the most engagement, like people reaching out and saying, that was an amazing podcast. Like especially in the Hispanic community, nobody talks about shit like that. So I'm down to like take it down serious routes.
Yeah. No,
but with that humor also. I mean, we would joke around about shit.
Of course. Too. Yeah. That's kind of like the route I'm going down is like having people I'm interested in talking about that I'm like, that'd be a fun person to have on. I just want to know what they're thinking about or whatever. But then also having professionals. Like I want to have, I'm still going to my therapist, so not yet. But when I'm out her fucking clientele, she already told me that I can.
Bring her on?
I want to get her on and be like, talk to these kids out here, because a lot of them our listeners are like younger kids, like 15 through 18, which is weird. But I mean, I am 21, so it makes
that's
sense.
the thing, man. You guys have youth, and that's something that Jackie, that my Jackie's bringing to the table is youth.
Yeah,
I told her, I'm like, I feel like I already drew in like the 300 to 400 people that I know that are my age group. I'm like, you're gonna bring like in a whole other crowd.
Yeah,
I'm like, because you're still in the shit. You're still going out every night and like partying and doing all sorts of cool shit. I'm like, and I'm not. I'm just not anymore.
I'm just going to bed, man.
It's like I gotta edit this video, then I'm gonna pass out.
I feel older, dude. I feel, fuck. I was working today and I was like walking. I was like, I feel like I'm 30 years old. Like, I feel like I looked at my face and it was like all wrinkly and fucking, I was like, man, I'm going to look shitty when I'm older. I was like, I need this podcast to work because.
No, but the thing is, man, I mean, girls have it bad. You're really cute. You're a really attractive person because you're 22 years old. In 10 years, when you're, did you say you're 22?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in 10 years, when you're 32, you're going to start looking kind of haggard. And I
already feel like I am.
And Mr. 31-year-old is going to look like me. He's going to have a beard. He's going to wear sunglasses in the dark.
I mean, that's what he's hoping.
He's going to have a deeper voice.
Yeah.
He's going to be a more distinguished. Men get distinguished. Women get kind of haggard. So right now, out of the two of you, she looks better, but give it 10 years. You'll be on top.
10 years.
10 years. Shit. I can wait 10 years. Do you want to, with your podcast, do you want to move out of state with it? Do you want to go out of state or do you want to keep it local?
I want to go as far as we can. I mean, if it was like a podcast that's like nationwide, and like I said, we have listeners in Mexico, so why not?
Yeah.
When it comes back to the advertising thing, if it turned out that a big chunk of our listeners were in, I don't know, in Guanajuato, let's say Capital.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah. And let's just, soy de Romita.
Oh, close.
Vamos a decir, just for example. And they said, and like maybe even if it's small business there, like a store or something. Yeah. Or donde venden máscaras de lucha o algo. Reached out and we're like, hey, we listen to your podcast. Everybody here loves your podcast. We're already making bootleg shit with your logo on it because we're Mexico. Like, let's advertise. Yeah. Why not? I'd sell them an ad. I mean, we live in a globalized world where I could make a deal with someone in another country, play their ad because I know they're going to listen where they're at, and they can pay me because it's not like I'm going to wait for a check in the mail like back in the day. Yeah.
Have you actually, I don't want to ask that. So for a kid who is getting into it and he's like, I want to get paid right now, what's your advice to that person?
Nobody gets paid right away. Like I said, I was making okay money playing the music. That was after years and years of gigs that we didn't get paid or gigs that we get hardly paid or, so nothing happens overnight. You just got to keep grinding and when shit happens and shit doesn't go your way, just keep going. Learn from it.
Yeah. No, I think that's important because do you think you can tell when someone gets into it for the money?
Yeah.
I think it's
what's character
like a telltale sign of that?
Yeah.
If you notice I don't know how to explain it. I mean, you can definitely tell when someone's not being genuine.
Yeah.
And or there's that, if you notice they start selling out, suddenly every 5 seconds they're like, oh, and did I tell you about Dollar Shave Club?
And it's
Or
like
shit like
stupid
that.
ads too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would you,
Yeah.
Or stuff that they probably don't use and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. And a lot of people actually do comment on those things like, oh, you're just doing it for the money.
Yeah, you gotta be. I think that's one of the thing with one of the things with any type of social media, entertainment, podcasting, whatever you have on there, is be careful with what you put out there as far as an advertiser goes. Because I was telling her when we first started, I was like, if we have an advertiser, let's say it's fucking Happy Hippo. If it's Happy Hippo, we just create them. I want to make sure I try that shit first and.
Before you get a bunch of people on it and it fucking
before I have any
tanks or
fucking
something.
18-year-olds out there cracking out on Kratom.
Yeah.
Not that I've done Kratom, but I want to. Have you done Kratom?
No, I'm a very clean person when it comes to anything.
Good.
I've
Me too.
only done pot like 4 times, and the first time I ever did it, I was already like 33.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Because
I
that's what
mean-
you got to do. Yeah, that way you don't fuck up your life. I'm already responsible. I already know what the fuck I'm doing.
I went through a
I mean,
phase.
when I tried it, I was already 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, you're
barely
21.
21.
Did you do those dabs?
Nah, dude, you were going crazy. I did dabs. So you want me to tell you a story about that?
Yeah. Tell me.
So I was at a party. The first time I did dabs, I was at a party, right? And it was like a party, bro. It was a fucking party of like 50 people. It was a birthday party, and so this kid comes out. And this kid with my friend comes out. They're walking out. I'm already high and drunk, so I'm like, And then they're like, "Oh, Brandon, come on, join us. We're gonna go do dabs." I was like, "Dabs? What are those?" He's like, "You just gotta, it's just wax, blah blah." It's like, okay. I go out there, dude. I'm walking with them. We get in the car. They start smoking, and I see. I'm like, "Holy shit, that looks really yellow." And I was like, "Okay." So he's like, "Take a big hit." And I took 3 fat hits, bro, like fat hits, and then boom, just hits me out of nowhere. Just fucking hits me. So I'm just sitting there like this, dude, like fucking crazy, and then all of a sudden I turn around, and then this kid that was outside because his door was open, he's like, the door of the car was open. He's like, "A cop just passed by." Freak out instantly. Freak out. I was like, "Oh my god, a cop here!" I get out the car. The party was in this like warehouse. And I go next door. There's a house. I go knock on the door. The guy in the house, he opens. He's like, "Are you high?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So you want to come in here now?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. There's a cop outside. Like, I can't get caught because this and that." And he's like, "Nah, dude." He closes the door on me. I freak out even more. And then he's like, "No, I'm just playing, dude." He opens the door. He opens the door. I walk in, dude. I go downstairs to my buddy's basement, and I'm laying there. I order a pizza because I'm hungry. I give the guy, my friend of a friend, I give him $50 to go upstairs and get me the pizza when he got here because I was too scared. He brings me back the pizza. I'm laying down on this couch, like literally laying down, dude. I have the pizza on my chest. I'm eating the pizza like this. The guy doesn't even give me my money back, the change, so he kept it.
It was a $50 pizza.
Yeah, so it was a $50 pizza. So I'm just laying there, and I'm like fucking freaking out, all scared. I'm thinking in my brain like circuits and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I hear like arguing in the room, and it's one of my friends with this girl, and I'm like, holy shit, they're fighting. Like they're fighting in front of me. And then come to find out, I pass out. Come to find out the next day, they were not fighting. It was just me hearing them like talk loud.
And you thought they were?
I thought they were
arguing and fighting and shit?
Yeah. So that's the only time I did dabs, and after that I was like, like that's just too strong for me. And
Wait, did you say? Didn't you say the couch was white? Or is that a different one?
That's a different one.
Oh,
I was
okay.
drunk. There was a white couch, and I was eating Cheetos, and I just fucking rubbed my fingers on that white couch. But the next morning, it wasn't even my house. It was like this girl's house. And so the next morning, I woke up at 7 a.m. hella early. I saw the red lines on. I was like, oh my god. Yeah. So then what I did, I was like, I'm leaving. I walked out, dude, and I fucking went home. Never heard from the girl ever again. It was a friend of a homie, but
Yeah, you shouldn't have white couches or white anything, honestly, for that reason.
You have
never
white
know.
couches. I feel like you're kind of like a douchey, you know?
Yeah,
Like you can't sit on it.
Yeah.
yeah, you
just
can't
there
sit on
to-
it naked. That's for sure.
Naked.
Streak it up that way.
For real. That is true. Where were we at?
I think I'm gonna take a piss, but I still want to keep. If you guys are down to keep going, I'm gonna keep going.
Okay.
But I think this is the part of the show where we're gonna go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Cool.
We don't have any commercials, but we'll cut it for now.